Right, and I'm gonna flip my view and then I'm gonna share my screen. So you guys can give me the thumbs up if you can see my slides once I get to that point, okay? Just give me 2 seconds. All right, you see, thanks, Britt. Thanks, Bri. Okay. All right, so let's just get them in the big view. There we go. Okay, so for those of you guys that don't know me, my name is Kim Roberts. I am a 5-star diamond coach, 2021 elite in my first CBC, and 1-star diamond coach in my second CBC. I don't know how many months of consecutive success club, but it's there. And I'm just excited to be here tonight with you all. I am going to share a big piece of my heart, which is leading with nutrition and a huge focus on product retention. And I'm excited to do that with you guys tonight. So just a couple of quick housekeeping items. I can't see everybody. So if you guys can be active in the chat, I'm a little bit of a squirrel. So if you're active when I say don't be active, I'm probably going to be like, what's happening? But if I ask for you guys to drop something in the chat, it'd be super helpful and it'll keep me awake and all jacked up. Okay. Also want to just say, show of hands if you feel a little bit overwhelmed right now. Show of hands. Okay. I feel like we don't address this a lot in this business. I feel like we get on these calls and we feel like we have to be super like pumped and positive and everything sunshine and rainbows and unicorns. And I just want to say that this is like a super overwhelmingly awesome time to be in this network, right? There's a lot going on. There's a lot of different things that are happening and it's easy to get kind of caught up in that overwhelm. And I just want to say that when I first was going to do this call on leading with nutrition and product retention, we were in such a different place as a network. And I found it kind of funny that I'm doing this call tonight when literally everything right now is fitness focused, or it feels that way, right? So we have Body that just happened, that's live classes. We have the Mix Bike that's here. We have Job 1 that's happening, fitness program. Everything feels very fitness focused. So it might feel a little bit weird that tonight we're going to talk on product retention and nutrition, but hopefully by the end of this, you leave this call saying like, okay, this is how Kim did her business before we had a bike and we had live classes and we had a new fitness program. And this is how Kim's continuing to do her business. And I hope that you guys will be able to see that as overwhelming as things can be right now, nothing's changed. Okay. So also want to preface this by saying, as you're going to hear in my personal story, that I have had a lot of success with Ultimate Portion Fix and the container system. I know, Britt, I think you do 2B. Bri, I know you do 2B. So I know there's a lot of 2Bers on this call. You're going to hear me reference UPF. You're going to hear me reference the containers, Time Nutrition. You're going to see pictures from, UPF or from 80-day obsession. You're going to hear that in my story. I just want to make sure that it's clear that while that is where I've had success and where all of my girls have had success, and that's the program I focus on with my team, my coaches, my challengers, this is a system and anything of this can be applied to 2B as well. Okay. All right. So this is, can you guys see this? This is before Kim. Can you see me? Okay, perfect. So I refer to this person as before Kim. So I think we all have that picture of us, right? Where it's that like light bulb moment where we're like, oh shit, girlfriend let herself go, right? Like that, this was that moment for me. And I think we all have this before picture that we always go back to. So I'm going to walk you guys through kind of how I got to this Kim and where I was in my life. So I developed a very, very unhealthy relationship with food, or more of a fear of food, at a really young age. My dad had a heart attack when he was 43. I was 14 years old when it happened. And it was a very traumatic thing for me time that I walked through. And God willing, thankfully, he survived this major heart attack and he came home to us. But when he came home, our whole lives changed and everything looked very, very different. We made birthday cakes, always made my dad's cake with my mom. And all of a sudden the birthday cake was made with apple juice or applesauce instead of oils. Mashed potatoes were cauliflower instead of actual potatoes. And my very young 14-year-old brain, even though at 14, I felt like I was like 40 and the coolest person ever. I was a baby. My niece is 13. I'm like, she's so tiny and she's so little. So it was a very hard time for me to process what was happening in my world. And my brain, my 14-year-old brain was like, food is bad. food is scary. Food can kill you. And that's how I process. And so I developed this crazy, crazy fear of food. And, you know, we as a family dieted. We all did the Smart Start diet. I don't know if any of you guys are old enough. I'm aging myself probably, but there was a Smart Start diet and you literally ate Smart Start like all the time. And I would bring my little 3/4 cup of Smart Start to my high school for lunch. And I would buy a fat-free milk and a Diet Coke, which, you know, that was probably not great, but I needed the Diet Coke. That was my lunch. Okay. So fitness, on the other hand, something that was just really easy for me. I grew up playing competitive soccer year round my whole life. Like from the moment I could walk until I graduated college, I played soccer every day, every single day, 90 minutes competitive soccer. So I was never not active. I was never not training. So fast forward to, I graduated from pharmacy school with my doctorate of pharmacy, and I got married. A year later, I had a miscarriage, and that ended up rolling into 3 years of infertility. One of the hardest, if not the hardest times in my life. And through the infertility journey of the ups and the downs and the failures and the heartbreaks and the losses and the miscarriages, I had a lot of depression, a lot of anxiety, a lot of fertility medications in my system, and I gained about 50 pounds. So that fear of food that I always had, that diet, like crash diet lifestyle that I was living for so long, turned into this fear of loss of like every single month eating for 2, just in case I was pregnant. Because right after that miscarriage, it was like, oh my gosh, Kim, you were crash dieting. You were running 7 miles a day. Like that's the reason why you lost this baby. And if you don't change that and you don't eat for 2 and you don't not work out and you don't do all these things, then you're going to keep losing these babies. And so I pretended basically for 3 years of my life that I was pregnant. I didn't work out. I stopped being active. My whole life, every piece of who I was focused on becoming a mom. So through that process, I gained 50 pounds and I was just eating for comfort. And then I had my son who just turned 10 like a couple of weeks ago, which is mind blowing to me. Also probably aging myself again. But you know, that was the best time of my life, but also that light bulb moment of like, okay, now we need to figure this out. We have been both extremes. We've crash dieted our whole lives mostly. And then now we're where we're at, where comfort food is a thing and we need to break these habits and we need to get moving again and we need to get active. So after having him, I tried everything and nothing was working. I was running, I was doing all these things. And finally, my sister-in-law had given me Insanity DVDs for free. So yes, my journey with Beachbody started with free DVDs. Also, again, aging myself with the DVDs, but that's where I started. And I fell in love with Shaun T and I lost about 30 pounds. So that takes me to the picture on the right. So this was after I had started my journey. I was moving, I was doing Insanity every single day, and I got into really good shape. I lost, like I said, 30 pounds. And then I went back to my old diet habits and I continued with Insanity on repeat. So I don't know if you guys have ever, if you can relate to this, but for me, I had tried so many things. And at the time of Insanity was like the one thing that worked. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing Insanity. Because to me, it wasn't a Beachbody thing. It was like a Shaun T thing. So it was Insanity, it was Max 30, it was T25. I never strayed from my man Shaun T ever, out of fear that if I did, I was going to lose all of my success, right? But I went back to those diet habits. I did start coaching, much to my fighting it for a long time, but I was not using any of the products and I was not following any nutrition plan. At this point, the nutrition plan that you got was this little itty bitty book with Insanity that, again, my sister-in-law gave me because she gifted it to me. And it had like 10 recipes in it. There was a couple for breakfast, a couple for lunch, a couple for dinner, and that was it. I threw it away. Like, I didn't care. I was like, I'm not doing this, right? I have my diet that I'm doing and that's what I'm going to stick to. I started running challenge groups because I had people asking me like, what are you doing? You lost 30 pounds. You look great. And so I just put all these people in a group, but they were all fitness. Like, there was no speaking of nutrition. There was no speaking of products because I myself wasn't doing it. And so everything I pushed was fitness. And that worked at the time because we had DVDs, right? And so somebody would buy a 21-day fix from me, and then they would run out of that program and they wanted something new. They'd buy a T25. So I was selling things, but I was selling fitness. I got certified to teach Group X classes. And honestly, if I'm being truthful, it was because I was running out of Shaun T workouts. And so I got certified to teach Insanity Live, literally only because I wanted more Shaun T workouts, because I was so bored with all of the ones I kept doing. And I swore I would never teach a class. And then I went and I fell in love with teaching, and it's still something I'm super passionate about today. So I started teaching 9 classes a week. I was doing my own workout on top of that. And all while I was barely intaking 400 calories on a good day. That was a good day. Okay. So I would typically have like maybe a bar in the morning, and then I would have like some sort of protein and veggie at night. Again, very unhealthy relationship with food. And to everybody that knew me, I was the Beachbody coach. I was the health and fitness guru, you know, and to my class, my girls that took my classes, they nicknamed me Robo Barbie. That was my nickname. And the reason for this was because I was always so crazy full of energy, and I was tuck jumping to the ceiling all class long, and I would show up for them. But what they didn't know was, in all actuality, I was really freaking tired, like exhausted all day, every day, hungry, starving, and unhappy with my body. Because I was eating so little, and I was putting such a huge demand on my body, and I wasn't fueling to meet those demands. So this is where I think this is an important point to make. If you've ever told Shaun T, if you ever met Shaun T in person, or you've ever had a conversation with him, you said, "Oh my God, Shaun, you made me lose 30 pounds with Insanity Max 30. He's always going to say the same response. And if you know Shaun as well as I do, you can probably finish this sentence for me. So he's going to say, "Congratulations, but how do you feel?" Okay. So this was my reality. Like, it doesn't matter if you lose 30 pounds, if you feel like shit. If you lose 30 pounds and you do it in a way that's not sustainable, or you do it in a way that's not healthy, or you do it in a way where you're unhappy, it doesn't matter. Okay. I felt like shit. You can actually see in this picture, and I chose this picture for a reason. This is actually from one of our super weekends, but you can see I'm literally balding. So there's like huge bald spots on the side of my head. My iron and my ferritin at one point were like rock bottomed out. I had all this testing done. I was having all these health issues, numbness and tingling from head to toe. And I felt literally like garbage. I wanted to sleep all day, every day. I could sleep 14 hours and then still want to take a nap. I was cold and tired all day, every single day. And it was really my body talking to me, but I wasn't listening. And then came 80 Day Obsession into my life. So these are my day 1 pictures when I started 80 Day Obsession. So this was really the first program that really truly incorporated all of the products. If you weren't a part of Beachbody before 80 Day Obsession, we had, again, through T25, we had a product called E&E, which was basically like Energize. And we had different products, and Shakeology was always there, but truly 80 Day Obsession, there was just this big shift where all of a sudden it was the first program to incorporate all of the products, like very aggressively into the program, right? It was, in my opinion, the second program to make nutrition a huge focus, 21 Day Fix obviously being the first. So that was where we really had the first program we had an actual nutrition plan. And there was a big focus on nutrition. 80 Day Obsession, I think, took that to the next level. So this also was the first time we had a coach exclusive test group, and it was my first program. I decided to go all in. So like I said, up until this point, I wasn't even using the products. I wasn't following a nutrition plan. I had dabbled with 21 Day Fix, but I was doing 21 Day Fix Kim's way. So I was, you know, never having a yellow, never having carbs, and I was basically never getting all of my containers in. So I didn't do 21 Day Fix is really what it was. So this was the program that I decided I was going to go all in on. And if you've never gone all in on a program, I'm going to pause right here and I'm going to like highlight and bullet point this. You need to, this is your sign that today, and you'll hear this in my action items at the end, you need to go all in on a program. I had to not only go from eating like 400 calories a day to do 80 Day Obsession, I had to actually eat in maintenance. So one of the things that happened in the beginning was Autumn had done a post and said, hey, if you're, you know, if you have an active lifestyle, if you do this, if you do that, you're going to have to eat up a bracket. And so I reached out and said, hey, this is my lifestyle. Like, I don't think I can eat in plan A, let alone in maintenance. What would you recommend? And she was like, yeah, you, with teaching 9 classes a week, if you're teaching more than 3 hours of classes a week and you're active in those classes, you need to eat in maintenance. So this was a huge obstacle for me as somebody that had a major issue, unhealthy relationship with food. Okay. Like it was a big obstacle. I tried quitting on day 7, and it was mostly because I felt gross. I felt bloated. I literally looked like I was 5 months pregnant again. I was sluggish, and really because of my obsession with the scale, which you'll hear me say in a minute, but I was weighing myself daily and it was going up. It was not going down. It was going up. I cried at every single meal, and my husband, like literally like, I can't do it, you know, like bawling. And my husband was like, listen, you need to give this a month. And for the longest time, he had been telling me, like, your issues for years are coming from not eating enough. You need to give this a month. You have nothing to lose. What's the worst case scenario? After 30 days, you've gained a couple of pounds. You go back to doing what you were doing and starving yourself, and then you lose nothing, right? You have nothing to lose. So I did. When I was showing my husband these slides, he's like, make sure you give me credit there and make sure everybody, you know, I'm like, okay, there are 2 slides he's on. So he feels really good about that. So this was the shift for me. So day 1 to day 26. So day 10, I felt this major change in my body. And I described this moment very vividly to all of my new challengers. And when I share this story with them, all of a sudden, instead of being cold all the time, I was hot. I sat down wanting to eat, not feeling like I had to eat, not feeling like I was starving, but that I could eat. And that was a big change for me, because for so many years, I sat down to eat like starving, and I would barely let myself eat anything. I had all this energy. And for the first time in a long time, I actually felt alive and in control of something that was very much out of my control, or felt that way for most of my life. And then on day 26, I got on the scale. And I had promised myself that for the longest time, for it was like 16, 20 days, I wasn't going to get on the scale. And then I did. And it was up. And that was the day that I was like, I don't care that I feel good. I don't care that all of these things are going well. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Like the scale's continuing to go in the wrong direction. I'm done. And then my husband made me do photos. And this was my day 1 to day 26. So he actually put them in a collage and was like, you need to sit your ass down, because I'm very stubborn. And he said, you need to look at these pictures. And I really, truly didn't believe the difference until I saw it with my own eyes. So I'll pause here again, because this is one of the biggest teachable moments that I want you guys to remember. I share this story with every single one of my challengers, and I stress how important photos and measurements are. Because truly, if I hadn't done before pictures and I hadn't done those pictures that day, it didn't matter how amazing I felt, I would have quit. I would have thrown in the towel, all because of one little tiny number on a scale. But that's how unhealthy my relationship with the scale was too. Okay. So the photos encouraged me to continue. I stayed committed the full 80 days. I was eating 5 times what I was eating before that, and ate more food than I ever had in my whole life. And this is the side-by-side of my before picture. This was actually before I got pregnant with my son. A lot of people think I'm pregnant in this picture. I've had people on social media blow me up, like, you can't share a pregnant before picture. I'm like, bitch, I wasn't pregnant. Okay. So screw you, because now I feel even better about that picture. So I was not pregnant here. This was on one of our anniversary cruises. My son came like 2 years after this picture. And then this is after my journey. So during 80 Day Obsession, the way that I showed up changed so drastically. I was always the girl that just showed up and did her workouts, and I drove home fitness, and all I did was talk about fitness, and all I did was talk about the programs. And then for 80 Day, I really, truly took people on the journey with me. So I didn't just show my workouts. I showed every single meal, every single day, every snack, every shake, every energize, every cover, every single day. And honestly, part of why I did that was for myself, for my own accountability. And then on day 80, when I shared my transformation picture that I'll show you in the next slide, no one questioned it. I didn't get any of the, oh, you know, your pants are higher in this picture, you're sticking your tummy out in this picture. I didn't get any of that, because everybody watched me do it. So they couldn't say anything. They couldn't say, this is fake, this is not real, you're doing this, you're doing that. They saw it happen. They literally watched it happen every step of the way. And more importantly, it showed those people that wanted to go on this journey themselves, it showed them not only that it's possible, but it showed them that how I achieved mine. okay, my results, and basically what would be expected of them if they wanted to do the same. So this is my day 1 to day 80. So I lost, in those 80 days, I lost 12 inches, 6 pounds, dropped a jean size, dropped anxiety, major anxiety. If you've ever been malnourished, one of the biggest signs that you'll notice it in is your anxiety levels. And huge raise in my energy, my confidence, my iron and my ferritin, and got my hair back, and gained a healthier relationship with food. So none of that matters to you guys, right? Because I get on all these calls all the time where, have you ever gotten on a call where you're like, good for you, Susie, but like, how the shit does that help me? Because I get on calls all the time where I'm like, round of applause, we're super happy for you, but that does nothing for me. So my goal in sharing my story was just to give a little bit of backstory for you to understand how now I'm going to teach you how this changed my business and where I kind of am today. Okay. So the first thing that changed was the way that I talk to people, and how you talk to people matters. You know, I can't stress that enough. And my inviting changed drastically. I don't do a lot of inviting via text. My girls that are on this call are probably going to laugh at this because they get so sick of my voice, because I voice message everything. So it's hard for me to actually put this into text form, but this is kind of an example of how I led with fitness, what an invite would look like versus now leading with nutrition. So beforehand, I think this is probably what most invites look like in this business. You know, I've been doing this program. It's X days a week for 30 to 45 minutes a day for 13 weeks. And, you know, do you want to join my next group, right? How many of you feel like that's consistent with your current inviting process? I can't see a ton of you, but yes, I'm getting lots of head nods. Okay, so my current invite, or once I shifted to leading with nutrition, you'll see, I got to move this picture here because I can't really see that well. Okay. Oh, it's back. Just plug this up here. Okay. Hey, I know you've been following along on my stories and probably have seen that I'm still living that 80-20 lifestyle. I'm still following the same nutrition plan I have been for the past 5 years. That's not restrictive, is sustainable, and fits into my hot mess express mom life. And I'm also still moving my body 30-ish minutes a day. Come a long way from the girl who ate like a bird and worked out all day long to still not ever hit any of her goals. I'm in the process of setting my next group. Are you interested? So this is important. And I just want to say this real quick. I've heard a lot of people say, like, keep your invites simple, keep them generic. I strongly disagree. I really feel that you have to have, yes, a concise invite, but I think within that concise invite, you have to put in there something that sticks out to your avatar. So my avatar, you'll hear me describe this. My avatar is the woman who has been literally starving herself her whole life and working out like crazy and getting nowhere. That's my avatar. That's 90% of the women that come to me that are coming to me for help. That's where they're coming to me from. They enjoy the fitness side of it, or they go to the gym every day, or the fitness isn't hard for them and they just don't know a damn thing about the nutrition, or they are so stuck in that, 1200 calorie or less mindset that they can't get past it to actually get to where they need to go to get the results. So for me, it's really important that, they see in this small paragraph, they already know that I've been doing this for 5 years. That's going to stick out to them. Like if you've been following one of these plans for 3 years, 2 years, 5 years, tell people that. Like, this is what I'm doing and I've been doing it for this long. That's going to stand out to them. They know it's not restrictive. They know it's sustainable. They know that I'm a hot mess express mom. They're going to relate to that, right? So there's a lot of different pieces in here that are going to stick out to them. I will tell you, when I send this invite, the most common response that I get is, oh my God, girl, that sounds just like me. And most oftentimes they're relating to the spot here, to the sentence that says, who ate like a bird and worked out like crazy and never reached her goals. Okay. Another thing with my inviting. So when I was leading with fitness, I really, really struggled to upsell, like, especially to my customers that were with me. Once I went through the 80-day obsession process and I started leading with nutrition, or they watched me go through that, I still struggled. But before that, I mean, I had a lot of people on the fitness side of things. I had a lot of people that had BOD, but it was really, really hard for me to upsell them to a challenge pack and to get them on these products and these nutrition plans. How many of you again, show of hands, can say that, have you ever offered to help somebody remember to cancel their Shakeology? Like, but if you just get it this 1 month, it's only like $39 more because you want Success Club points. Let's be honest, because you really don't give a shit about much else, right? Be honest, because I've done it. I was the girl that was like, listen, it's only $40 more this month and you'll get shakes and you'll get this and then I'll help you remember to cancel your shakes. Okay. I'm just being real. I was that girl because I was desperate to hit Success Club because that's what the company told me I needed to do to be successful. Okay. So how many of you are guilty of this? That changed for me, how I spoke to people, how I talked to them about the packaging. I don't say like BOD's $99 and then for $39 more, you can get, you know, a month of shakes. I say, I lead with the nutrition. So we already talk about the nutrition plans. We talk about how they're $110 each. We talk about how important it is to have 2 options and how if they have both options, that's $220. We talk about the shakes and they know before we even talk about packages, they know personally what I feel the shakes are going to do for them, X, Y, and Z. So they already know the expectation. The expectations are already there. Okay. So that's how that changes. And then I say, these are all the reasons why the products are important and we'll work together in finding a way to make this happen. I've just found that the way that I talk to people has shifted so much because I truly believe in the products and the nutrition plan. And I know that that accounts for 80% of these results. Let's be honest, the fitness is 20% of it. So I have that belief. So when I'm talking to people, I will go above and beyond, like proactively before they even sound interested in the package. I'm like, listen, these are the reasons why Shakeology matters. These are the reasons why the nutrition plan is so effective. And then I will relate to them and say, I can remember that, you know, before I did the products X, Y, and Z. Or I say, I can remember when I was trying to figure out how to make Shakeology work and I had to look at my monthly costs. And I found out we were spending $400 on takeout every single month. Is there something that you do like that? Like, is there anywhere that you can cut costs to save for something that's actually going to serve you, your health, and your body? Because the Starbucks every morning isn't serving you. I'm here to tell you, it might feel really good going down the hatch, but it's not serving you and it sure as shit ain't serving your bank account. Okay. So I have the hard conversations now proactively, and I set the tone from day one that this is the expectation, that the nutrition and the products are where they're going to get the results from. Every single conversation that I have is geared from that. And that might make you cringe, right? Because for some of you, this might be really out of your comfort zone. Talking about the nutrition plan might feel uncomfortable. Talking about the products might feel uncomfortable. But I just want you guys to think for a second, and please put this for me in the chat if you can relate to this or you can agree on this. What's the thing that's been the most consistent in your journey? What's the constant? Is it the program? For most of us, no. For me, Insanity was the program for like 4 years. But for me now, like today, Kim, that's not the constant. I did 645. I did, you know, freaking Let's Get Up, for the love of God. And I'm the worst dancer ever. The programs have changed so drastically for me. And honestly, I did Let's Get Up and I didn't give a crap that it was different in intensity than 9-week Control Freak because the program's 20%. The constant is your nutrition and the products. So don't shy away from sharing that. So many of my new coaches will be like, I know, but it's just so much easier to talk to people about fitness. I'm like, it might be easier in the short term, but long term, it's not. Okay. So when you're struggling, ask yourself, what are the constants for me on my journey? And that will help you build the belief to then go and talk to people about the products and the nutrition plan. Okay. My responses change again. These are super wordy, but I'll kind of summarize them. When I led with fitness, somebody would tell me that they did like CrossFit or that they went to the gym. They had a Peloton. This was before Mix. Now my answer to the Peloton would be totally different. But for the longest time, I'd be like, oh, I'm so happy for you. Let me know if anything changes. And then I'd just be done. Like that was the end of the conversation. And now I'll say to them, like, I'm so glad that you love CrossFit. I'm so glad that you love going to the gym. I'm so glad you love your Peloton. But I also know that you've been sharing with me that you're not happy with your results or that you haven't achieved your goals. Like now that I'm thinking about it, what's your nutrition look like? Or are you using any products to supplement your journey? You know, like, do you do anything? Do you take anything before your workout? Do you do anything after your workout, like a post workout? And I have those conversations with them, because I'll tell you guys, actually, I have 3 coaches on my team that initially were not a part of the Beachbody programs, and they wanted nothing to do with the fitness side of things. They actually, one was a CrossFitter, actually owns their own CrossFit gym. Okay. One actually owns their own Ninja Warrior training area. And then another one, it doesn't matter. You get my point. Okay. They had their fitness thing all figured out. But what they didn't have was the before, the after, and the Shakeology. And that is something, and the nutrition. And that's something that we can offer. Okay. And that's like the most important thing. So that's kind of how that would look differently. Another thing that I'll say is I often will, in my responses, offer some sort of value. And for me, where I've found I can really offer a lot of value is by saying to them, can you journal your food for me, your food and drink for me for 2 days? And can you send it to me so that I can look it over and see if there's any changes that maybe you could make that would help you be more successful on your journey? A lot of the times they'll do it because they're so damn desperate. Like they just don't understand their nutrition. They're like throwing spaghetti at the walls, and you're that new set of eyes that can look at it and say, okay, this is where the issue is. More oftentimes than not, they send me that, and I'll say to them, can we get on Zoom to talk about this? Because I have a couple of thoughts. Or I'll send a voice message back and I'll say, bing, bang, boom. Like these 1, 2, or 3 very small things are the reason why you're not successful. I had one girl who sent me her journal, and she was using V8 energy drinks. Okay. And I was like, I didn't even know that existed, but why are you drinking that? And she was like, well, because I get them at the store and they're kind of healthy and blah, 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 blah. They're organic and all this crap. And I'm like, well, you know, Energize would save you a ton of money and be way more effective than V8 energy. Right. So she made that one change and she lost 9 pounds because of one change. And she also saved money. So I would have not known that if I didn't ask to have kind of a more microscopic look into what she was doing. So these are just 2 examples. And again, I often will get on Zoom with people. My husband calls me the closer because he says if I get on Zoom with somebody and I talk to them face to face, like they almost always will dive in wholeheartedly. And one of the biggest reasons why I think that is because I let them do the talking. I ask them a couple of questions. I've already looked at what they're doing in terms of their workout and their nutrition and what products they're using. They've already sent me all that. And I can build our conversation off of that, and I relate to them. So I say like, yeah, I can remember when it was really hard for us to afford Shakeology too. These are the things that we did to make it more of an option for our family, you know, so on and so forth. And then my biggest response that has changed, and I think this has really helped me in my business, is did you do Beachbody or did you do BOD? So how many of you see this in your DMs every single day where somebody's like, I've done Beachbody before, it didn't work for me? Right? I get those all day long. And oftentimes these people, if you say to them, did you do Beachbody or did you do Beachbody on demand? Because a lot of those people that are telling you like, I did Beachbody before, it didn't work for me, they didn't do the nutrition plan. They didn't do the products. They didn't do Shakeology. They'll tell you, oh, I did that 21-day fix thing and it didn't work for me. Well, then you didn't do Beachbody, because that's not Beachbody. Beachbody is not Beachbody on demand. Beachbody, it started as a fitness company, but it has evolved. And Beachbody is now the total solution. It is not just fitness, right? So making sure that you really ask that hard question and find out really and truly what they did or did not do. My challenge groups changed. So when I was leading with fitness, I used to just say to people, okay, I'm going to put you in this group and just log your workout every day. Right. And everybody else was doing the same thing. It was all fitness driven. I welcomed everybody into my groups, especially like I said in the beginning. I mean, if somebody was like, I want to do a couch to 5K in 5 years, I'd be like, you should be in my group. And I was just so happy to have everybody in there. And I just had everybody, literally everybody. If they were walking their dog once a day, I was like, you should be in my group too. So everybody was welcome, regardless of what package they got. Some of them didn't even purchase anything. But my volume, you guys, was terrible. So I'm a dead leg warrior, as we like to call ourselves, and I have like no volume. Everything that's beneath me, well, I had everything that's beneath me, I've either put there or somebody I've put there has put it there. And that was a really hard thing for me to realize when I actually went to NLC as a 1-star diamond, and my corporate rep, Brandy, was like, how's your product retention? And I was like, I'm like, shit, I don't know. And so we started looking at my volume, and I actually didn't even know this because this is how horrible of a coach I was, but I missed Premier the year before because of my weak leg volume. Those of you guys that are elite or Premier or have pushed for it are going to laugh at that, because that's typically the like least of your concerns to achieve Premier or elite, right? Weak leg volume. So my volume was awful. And I only ran like program specific groups eventually, and that didn't work for me. And then I was only running program info groups. So now everything in my challenge groups is there's fitness, and they can log their workouts, but they also have to log their shakes. We have a meal thread where they log their meals throughout the day. And that's where I really get a chance to see what they're eating. And more importantly, they kind of bounce off of each other. So it's like, oh my God, that looks delicious. What's that recipe that you made? Or, oh, I didn't know that you could have that as a red or a green or whatever. Only those that have qualifying purchases are allowed in the BOD group. They have to have 50 PB to remain in there. And I do a Google form every 3 months to reassess. So if you're not making that 50 PB minimum, you're not in the BOD group. And I'll show you what the other option is. Mostly because I learned the hard way. I don't work for free. I got burnt out real easy in this business. But I also designed it this way or changed it to be this way because I learned the hard way that you have to be all in. Like my girls in my BOD group, they're all in. If they're in that group, they're doing a program, and I don't give a crap what program it is, but they're doing a program. They are on a nutrition plan, either UPF or 2B, and they're using the products. And the reason for that is because you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. My other group, before I set those requirements, I had like girls that'd be like, on Weight Watchers today, I had 2 points from this. And I'm like, why the shit are you talking about Weight Watchers in my Beachbody group? But I didn't feel like I could really say that, right? Because I didn't really set standards. Or I would have people sharing like their Costco shakes that were like $20 and like, these are the same as Shakeology. I'm like, no, they're not. So I learned the hard way the value of having everybody in a space that was all in. This is just a quick graphic that I have. It's called Pick Your Path. And this allows them to say, I'm committed to the Facebook group, where it's just basically a free space and everybody can be in there. They don't get a lot of me in there. It's really just, they bounce off of each other. It kind of runs itself. And then there's my BOD group. And you can see these are like just a couple of examples of how they can get that 50 PB to stay in there. All right. Also the big thing. Okay. So I share the meal plan. Most of you guys probably have Mompreneur or in some way, shape, or form share a weekly meal plan. We have a thread. One of my girls, Jordan, she'll post the meal plan, and then she'll post like a snapshot of it. And that's like the thread where they can say, I tried this meal. It was great. My kids loved it, whatever. And so that's like a space that they can go to that, again, reinforces the focus on nutrition. But the biggest thing is spotlighting the products. Okay, so what we focus on expands. We've all heard this for a million different reasons, a million different ways in this business, but what we focus on expands. And if you are focusing on fitness in your challenge groups, then you're going to sell a lot of BOD. If you're focusing on the mixed bike, then you're going to sell a lot of mixed bikes. What you focus on expands. And so you have to focus on the products, the nutrition plan, the programs, whatever you're focusing on, that's what's going to expand in your business. So part of spotlighting the products is obviously step number 1 is, can you speak to these products on what they're designed to do, right? Like, what do they do? We all know this. We all know what Energize does. We know what Recover does, and we know what Shakeology does on label. Okay. So if you guys can, for me in the chat, if you can type for me what products that you share about, or that you shared about, let's say, because it's almost 9 o'clock at night today in your challenge group and on your social media. If you can put for me in the chat what product or products you shared about in your challenge group today and on your social media. And then we're going to talk about giving these products the space in your groups and on your social media that they deserve. Yes, Bri. All the things. Lots of Shake-O, lots of Energize. I see a couple of questions that I'll answer after this. Okay. It was a day, Brian says. Good. Sounds like a good day. Okay. So this is just a slide to remind you guys of the products that we have. I don't know why we just get so focused on Shakeology and Energize. And that seems to be like where everybody goes, especially new coaches. They're like, Shake-O, that's it. Or worse than that, they just share their workouts, right? And so that's why we're talking about spotlighting the products. I kind of put these in order of like most popular to least popular, and also tried to put them in what I see people share about the most. Honestly, if I did that right, I should have had Energize at the top. So many, it's become this thing where so many coaches do like their Energize pre-workout dance party, right? And I'm like, oh my God, okay, we all know you're dancing with your Energize, but what like we're not sharing other things. Collagen, I would say, would be up there too, because a lot of people put it in their Energize, same with Hydrate. But I just think there's so many things that you guys are probably using that you're not talking about. So which of these products on this list now, if you can put in the chat for me, have you not shared about in your groups or on your social media in the last month? All the ones that apply. So if you see one on this list that you're like, I have not spoken that word on my social media or in my group in a month, drop it in the chat. And I'll move on while you guys are doing that. Okay. So I want to talk about a couple of effective ways. Recover, Bevy. Okay. Everything hydrate and below. Kelsey, yes, that's least popular. Okay. So I want to talk about a couple of quick ways that I do this, and I'll share, and I will share all these resources with the other leaders in this thread, and they can send them off to their teams. Okay. So one of the things that I do every month, it's called Deep Dive into Shakeology. What it looks like is this. It's a pretty little graphic, and then it's a Microsoft Word document that's attached to it, and it's just basically a list of all the ingredients in Shakeology. And what they do is they pick an ingredient and they go and they research it, and they go back to the post and they put in the comments what that ingredient does. So ashwagandha, right? They go and they research it and they comment, this is what its role is in Shakeology. And every time that they do that, they have up to 3 ingredients per person that they can do. And every time that they do that, they earn an entry into a raffle. And so somebody wins at the end of the month for doing that. This is such a great way for your challengers to educate themselves. I've had so many times where, you know, somebody will text me after doing it and be like, oh my God, I was just looking up ashwagandha and I had no idea it did blah, 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 blah. So it's a great way for them to educate themselves. It's also a great way for them to educate each other. So people will like comment on others' comments like, oh my God, I had no idea it did that for your heart. Oh my God, that's so cool, right? And they kind of bounce off of each other. And really, it's great content for your social media. So oftentimes I will either screenshot all the responses or I'll screen record all of the comments and I'll post it in my social media. Like, did you guys know, like, look at this, look at what we learned this month. Look at all of the things that these ingredients in Shakeology do. So that's one thing that I do. Also, in my BOD group, we do, you obviously encourage them to log their shakes. Like I said, one of my really great friends, Carrie Arena, she does a leaderboard called the movers and the shakers at the end of every week. So she has the movers who log their workout and the shakers who log their shakes. That's something that I love that I'm going to start implementing. I also make sure to post the superfood treats. So this is a PDF that came from Mompreneur. I don't know if it's going to show you guys can you still see my screen or did it leave? Yeah. Okay. So obviously not going to share all of it because this is Mompreneur's stuff, but this is something that I have in my challenge group. And then this is a Shakeology Treats BOD blog. So again, just different ways that they can use Shakeology. I think a lot of people are like, I like to eat my food, not drink it. It's like, okay, cool. You can do that. And this is how. And then we have like a Who Made It Best. This is one of my favorite things. I have a ton of foodies in my challenge group, like a ton. And we love to have these challenges of like, they get all sorts of creative. I am not a food person and I don't cook worth shit. So I don't really get creative as much as they do, but we do like Shakeology mug cakes, cookie dough bites, protein bites, ice cream. I eat my Shakeology as ice cream every single night. It's like my reward to myself, my treat before bed. Shakeology no bakes. We do a ton with our Recover brownie batter pudding. A lot of you guys have seen those. One of my girls made her Recover into a Hershey bar, and she does that every single day. So a little bit of water, puts it in the freezer, goes and showers, and comes back and eats it like a chocolate bar. And then, you know, Energized gummies, they just posted on Beachbody's page and everything. Can you guys still see my slides? Yeah. Okay. I'll make them bigger again. So it's not. Okay, so this is just a couple of the fun things that we've made in our group. So here's like Shakeology protein pancakes. This is one of my girls, Becky. This is her Shakeology ice cream. They made chocolate covered cherry ice cream. And so these are two of the girls that were competing of who made it best. This was a mug cake. So this was a chocolate peanut butter mug cake. This was a pumpkin spice with maple glaze. Becky got super creative on that one. These are peppermint mocha bites, Shakeology no bakes, and edible cookie dough bites. Okay, so lots of fun things, but this is just to show you guys, like, this is the cool shit that people care about. Like, nobody cares about Shakeology as a drink. They just want to have yummy stuff. Okay, so now I want you to think about how you shared about these products in the last month. These products are great, and they're so effective at doing what they're designed to do. But an average 28, 30, 35-year-old woman or man does not give a shit about muscle repair or synthesis. Okay. So like, this is just the reality of our world. How many of you care that Recover helps your muscles repair? So we might, because we're in the health and fitness industry, and we might care about that. But most people, like, if you're hanging out with your girlfriends on a Saturday night having a glass of wine or a martini, and you're like, did you know that Recover actually repairs your muscles for you? They're going to be like, cool, Sandy, like, fuck off. We're trying to have martinis. Excuse my language, right? But that's just the reality, is most people don't care about what these products really do, like label uses. So you have to find a way to speak to them in terms of off-label uses. So I want you guys, again, to put for me in the chat, what are some of the reasons why you use these products that people would actually care about? Like, what are your pain points? And speak to them. And I'm going to roll through these really fast because I know I'm getting like way over on time. But Shakeology, do you speak to the busy mom that didn't get a chance to eat that day? Do you speak to the mom who just snacked on whatever her kids didn't finish eating? And she was too tired to make herself a dinner or meal prep? Do you speak to the person that wants to work on their health, but's too overwhelmed at the thought of exercising or meal prepping? I am known for this question to all of my challengers, and my coaches probably will attest to this. When they come to me overwhelmed, when I have a new challenger that's like, I want to do X, Y, and Z, but I ask them, can you commit to blending a shake? That's it. Most people, especially moms, especially in this last year and a half, if you say to them, can you work out 30 minutes a day? For some reason, our brains go to that. They're like, no, I can't, because it's just too overwhelming to them. But if you say to, and then if you say to them, do you want to start a new nutrition plan? They're gonna be like, absolutely not. Do you want a meal prep? No, thank you. But if you say to them, can you commit to once a day blending a shake? Most of them are going to say yes. They're going to fight you on the money piece, and that's another part you're going to have to conquer. But if you ask them, can you commit to blending a shake, and you tell them that that shake is going to do X, Y, and Z for them, they probably will be able to do that. Okay. So these are just a couple of things that I really, and this is a whole nother call that I can do. But speaking to the pieces of Shakeology, like, what are adaptogens? What's the science behind it? Adaptogens help us reduce our cortisol. Reducing our cortisol helps us reduce our stress. So for people that have anxiety, people that have stress, people have insomnia, Shakeology is really effective at helping them do that. Obviously, you know, insert disclaimer there, you can't claim anything, but a lot of my girls will see improvement with those things. And the science behind it is that reduction of the cortisol from the adaptogens. Same thing with hormone imbalances. Our cortisol as females is tied to our progesterone. Cortisol coming down helps get our hormones in balance. So a lot of women, I have a ton of women that would take my classes, and they started drinking Shakeology because they were going through menopause, or they were premenopausal and they were struggling with that imbalance. And Shakeology's really helped them make a difference with that. Digestive enzymes, you know, all these things that you see. And again, I can do a whole nother call on that, but making sure that you can speak to things that people care about, like the girl with IBS that's super irregular. One of my coaches is very vulgar and very upfront and honest, and she'll get on her social media and be like, I didn't shit today because I didn't have my shake. Like, she just calls it like it is. And people will literally message her and be like, oh my God, I don't poop either. How do I poop? And she's like, well, you need Shakeology. So it's like, these are the things that we don't talk about. Like, Susie doesn't care that Shakeology is, you know, going to be a meal replacement. She wants to poop. That's all she wants to do. Okay. So like, you have to speak to people's pain points. Like my shakes, I started making them into ice cream, and they are my happy me time. I sit down at the end of the day when my kids go to sleep. God bless them. I love them, but like, I'm like, goodbye. And then I sit down with my shake ice cream, and I put on The Bachelorette, like the stupidest reality TV show ever. And it's my me time. It's like my reward to myself for getting through another day of craziness. And it's just, I share that on my social media, and you won't believe, like, I'll say, you know, this is my time. And normally the Kim before Shaco ice cream would have sat down and would have had chips or pretzels or, you know, Ben and Jerry's. That's how I would have rewarded myself. And I'm not saying that it's right to reward, but, and to use food as a reward, but this is a healthier way for me to do that and to have my happy hour. So that's my happy hour, is having my ice cream. I started talking about my Shakeology like that on my Instagram, and I started sharing in my stories my ice cream. And I literally call it my happy hour, or my favorite time of my day, my highlight of my day. And I've had people come to me that are just like, I want that. I just housed a pint of ice cream and I feel like shit about it. And I would have much rather done that. Can you teach me how to do that? Okay. Energize, you know, like speaking to the mom that is struggling to get her kids off to school in the morning, or she has to go grocery shopping at 5 p.m. Like when I have to go grocery shopping at 5 p.m. when it's dark out with both my kids, I'm like, girlfriend needs a boost and a shot of Energize. People hear that. I have people that buy Energize through me that are in no other way, shape, or form involved in this Beachbody ecosystem. They just get Energized from me. I also have people that suffer from migraines. I have migraines. Whenever I have a migraine, I do a scoop of Energize and Hydrate. And I talk about that on my stories. So I have people that just buy Hydrate through me. Ideally, they're eventually going to also be using BOD, drinking Shakeology, using all the things. But I'm just happy to bring them into my ecosystem in some way, shape, or form, because I'm trying to speak to all different angles. Okay. Hangover cure, like Hydrate is an amazing cure for a hangover. So share that. There's a lot of people out there that are like, okay, I tried that. Shoot, you know, making sure that you're speaking to this. And I'll say this one thing. If you don't get your new challengers started, if you're going to start them on a fitness program and you don't get them set up with Energize and Recover, you failed them. And I tell my coaches that, the ones that are on this call right now, they're like, shit, she's going to do this. If they get to day 2 or 3 and they can't sit down to pee, you failed them. Okay. So make sure you're giving people the tools that they need to succeed, because then what happens afterwards is you're like, oh shit, we have this thing that's called Recover and it would have been really helpful for you. And you probably would have been able to sit down to pee if I had gotten it for you, or if I set you up with it, but I didn't think of it because you were too afraid to talk to them about the programs. Literally right out the gates, set the expectation. Okay. We have so much to offer. Stop pigeonholing yourself. Your people, your followers, your challengers, your team are going to do what you do, and they're going to do what you share, most importantly. So if you're doing this right, you should be already setting the expectation. Like when they come to you or you go to them and you invite them into this, they should already know all of the angles. They should already know all of the things. So when it comes time to pick their package, they're like, I'd like the deluxe, please, because I know the Energize, what it does. I know Recover, why you use it. I know Shakeology. I know this, I know that. They know everything. There's no hidden agenda. They've already seen everything right up front. Okay. So that's the biggest thing, is that's the biggest change for me, was my social media. I just always drove home my workout clips. Like, how many of you shared your workout clip today, but didn't share a product or anything to do with your nutrition plan? Show of hands. Like, just be brutally honest. I can't see all y'all, but I'm going to assume that there's some hands up. Okay. You probably share your workout clips every single day, but you probably don't show your meals, probably don't talk about your nutrition, and you probably don't show your products. And if you do, you do a ridiculous dance with your Energize and you got to change it up. Okay. So spotlight all the products. That's what I do now. I make sure to speak to all the pain points and I hit all the angles. I like to call this handling their objections up front, proactively. So I teach my team, like, you need to speak it into existence to them. Like, oh, I know people talk all the time about not being able to afford Shakeology, but this is what I was spending my money on. I was spending $400 a month on takeout. I saw Susie today and she gets Dunkin' Donuts. Like, there's a teacher at my daughter's school who consistently tells me she can't afford Shakeology. And I go, I drop off my son. I have to sit in the drop off line for 45 minutes. And every morning I see her with her little Dunkin' Donuts bag and her coffee. And I'm like, I know you can afford Shakeology. So I talked about that because she watches my stories. I didn't call her out, but I said, oh my God, there's so many people that say they can't afford Shakeology. And you know, they're getting Dunkin' Donuts every morning. You know, she was watching that like, shit, she sees me. She's probably going in the back door now. She probably goes in the back door. Haven't seen her in a week. But hashtag refuel, hashtag not a diet. I will post my workout and then I immediately post my lunch. And I say, I'm refueling, and you have to eat to refuel your body of the demands that you just put on it. I drive that home. And I also drive home hashtag not a diet. So when we're having taco night, when we're having healthier pizza night, everything is hashtag not a diet. And I speak to, this is not a diet. I just saw for some reason a thread, and I can't remember what group it was in, might have been in Roundtable, but people were talking about Ultimate Portion Fix as a diet. And I was like, I've done this for 5 years. I could never stay on a diet for 5 years. We don't have diets, guys. We have nutrition plans. These are not diets. So you're doing these programs an injustice if you're speaking about them in terms of being a diet. You have to tell people like, this is a lifestyle. It's sustainable. I speak to all of my posts, speak to the woman that's in starvation mode, that is literally starving herself and working out and not getting results, because that's my avatar. Figure out who your avatar is. But I'm here to tell you guys, most of my team speaks that way also, and they don't have the same history as me. 90 something percent, I would say, of women are women who are in that, 1,200 calories or less that society has taught us, that's driven into our brain. Less is more, less is more, less is more, eat less, work out more, eat less, work out more. That's what our society has taught us. Most women are in that same place. So if you try this, if you speak to that person, you're probably going to bring in people too. Okay. And then I will say, keep your recipes and your meal prep simple. Right now, I get overwhelmed at the thought of rinsing baby carrots. I'm just being honest. Like, life is so insane right now. There are so many great coaches that love to cook, love to be in the kitchen. Most moms don't want to do that. And they don't have the time, they don't have the energy. Keep it stupid simple. Like, my lunch every day is cottage cheese with crackers and baby carrots and ranch dressing. That's my lunch every day. And I say, this is why this is achievable. Like, who on this call can't measure out cottage cheese in a red container, put ranch dressing in an orange, rinse some baby carrots, and put some 8 crackers with the cottage cheese? Who on this call can't do that, right? I'm not saying you have to do that, but I personally used to be the girl that tried to do all the fancy Fixate recipes. And I always showed me meal prepping on a Sunday for 5 hours, and it scared the shit out of everybody. Keep it stupid simple. Okay. All right. I'm almost done. I promise. If you're doing your job right, the expectation should be clear from day one that while the programs are amazing and they're great and they're awesome and they're ever changing and we always have new ones, the results are going to come. 80% of the results are going to come from the nutrition and the products. And I tell people, I take my job seriously. You came to me for results and I'm determined to help you get them, but you can't a la carte your success. So this is what I told you I'm doing. You've watched me do this. You see me do this. If you start picking and choosing which of those things you want to do, then you can't expect the same results. All right. And then lastly, my onboarding system. And this is like what I probably will do for my next call for the Empower Squad. I used to just set them up with the challenge pack, help them pick a program, and that was it. Like, that's where I was like, I'm done. My job's done. That is where your job starts. When they buy that challenge pack, I truly believe that's where your job starts. So I have a welcome packet. I send it out. If they got the Shakeology pack, I send them Energize, Recover, Bevy, and a specialty flavor of Shakeology. If they got the Performance Stack, I send them those things minus the Energize and Recover, and I send them Shako. The reason for that is because if they didn't get all the products up front, I want them to have them. And I say, try this, try that. Let me know what you think. I do a monthly nutrition 101 call, and it's for my entire downline. So I get on and I basically go over the fundamental principles of nutrition. What's a protein? What's a carb? What's fiber? What's fats? Why do they matter? What's time nutrition? Why is it so effective? Why is it more effective than macro counting? What is starvation mode? Again, I share my story and I talk about how we're hardwired to go into starvation mode. That's how our brain and our bodies work scientifically. And I talk about that and I tell them the ways that they're going to avoid going into that and how damaging starvation mode can be. And most of the time they get off that call and they're like, I'm in starvation mode. And then you can help them by focusing on the nutrition plan and the products. Okay. I then set up a one-on-one call. One last thing, I also have them write up, I write up a mock plan on that call. So I go through and I have somebody volunteer and we write up a Ultimate Portion Fix time nutrition plan for that person. The goal is that they get off that call and they have the understanding of all of those things and that they can then write up their own meal plan themselves. So just a sample of one from our one-on-one call. I then get on a one-on-one with them. and I say, show me what you wrote up for your meal plan. They know to write it up in this format, and I review it and I say, let's look and see. We do one that's filled in and we do one that's blank, and they print the blank, and that's what they write into for the next however many weeks. I have some girls that have a whole binder that are still a year later keeping track and writing it in that binder. You guys can see that, hopefully. Okay. And then I set the follow-up plan. So I just say to them, when are you going to send me your meal plan filled in? Are you going to send it to me daily, weekly, monthly? What works for you? I know this sounds like a lot, but I want you guys just to grasp the concept of retention. Okay. Success Club is a goal. It's not the goal. And this company, I love Beachbody. I truly do. I bleed Beachbody blue, but everything, it just hammers Success Club into your head. And Success Club is important. Okay. It is truly important, but it is a goal, not the goal. It's a benchmark that's really rewarded. But for me, Success Club is about quality over quantity. I've never hit higher than Success Club 32. I'm just going to be fully transparent and honest. I don't bring in big numbers. That's not my jam, because I could never maintain the system that I have maintained, bringing on 50 people a month. They wouldn't get the same experience. I wouldn't be able to do it. What I focus on is retention. So I wish the company would bring back retention points, but I do my own loyalty program. And it's basically like, if you're on Shakeology for 3 months, you get this, 6 months, you get that, so on and so forth. Happy to give that to the leaders as well. But I just want you guys to, before you go, wrap your head around this. What if you brought on 3 new people every single month and you hit Success Club? Because yes, that is a goal, but then the goal was to keep them and to help them get results. Okay. So if you look at this graphic, nobody will ever appreciate as much as I will, because I spent like 2 hours on it, for the love of Christ, but wanted to be able to put in a visual. These are 3 new people. This is you hitting Success Club in January. If these 3 new people stay with you in February, and you get 3 new people in February, and then they stay with you and you get 3 new people in March, and they stay with you, and so on and so forth. Look at what your business looks like come December. Okay. This is the power of product retention. Look at January, look at December. There's a lot of you, and some of my coaches are still guilty of this. There's a lot of you that January looks the same as February, that looks the same as March, that looks the same as April. You're going by the skin of your teeth, trying to hit Success Club, hitting it on the last day of the month, and then you're losing those people because you're not focused on retaining them. You're not focused on product retention, and they're gone. You didn't help get them results. Okay. So we always say rebuild. Like, it makes me I go batshit crazy when I get on these calls and everybody's like, rebuild. Rebuild is like the word in Beachbody. And it's important to always stay in phase 1. It's important to bring in new people, but don't throw away the people that you have. Okay. You put so much time and energy into bringing them into this ecosystem. You got 2 Success Club points from them. It doesn't stop there. That is a goal, not the goal. Okay. So last thing, big picture. Why do we care about people trying the products? Why do we care about people staying on the products? Because we know that that's where the majority of their success will come from. If they succeed, you succeed. So when they succeed, you succeed, because successful challengers typically become what? They become lifers, and typically lifers become what we now call preferred customers. And a preferred customer means volume, and volume is king in this business. But more than that, a preferred customer is always a huge opportunity for a little person like me that becomes a working coach. Okay. There's nobody, and I will stand by this. My coaches, my rock stars, were challengers that had a ton of success, that lost a lot of weight or got in the best shape of their life or fell in love with these products. There's no one more passionate, more hardworking as a coach, in my opinion, than somebody whose life has been changed with the programs and the products that in your support. Okay. Give people the Disney experience and you'll have the domino effect. So these, you can take a screenshot of this. These are some things that I would just recommend you guys implement tonight. I know I went way over. I knew it was going to be hard for me to condense all this, but I hope that it's helpful. Screenshot this and work on these things. These are tangible things. I love personally myself, like getting off a call and having tangible items. So hopefully you can take something from this tonight and you can apply it. your business. And I hope it was helpful in any way. If you guys have questions, I'm happy to hang for a minute. And I'll put my Instagram and everything here in case you guys want it. Feel free to unmute too if you have questions, and I'll look at the chat real quick. Joelle said, I'm excited for this because there are so many fitness options everywhere. Not everyone has easy, sustainable nutrition options. Yeah. And I think that's something that is really the power that we bring, which is funny because, you know, we started as a fitness company. And I think we've really evolved into more of a total solution company. What's a DVD, Brian said? Always freaking Susie. Yes, I suck. Okay, Amber said, that's me. I suck with nutrition. So Amber, I wish I could see your last name. I'm going to encourage you. Let me stop this so I can see more faces. To change your kind of dialogue, because you don't, if you're still on the call, you don't suck at nutrition. Everybody sucks at nutrition. We get like years of education in fitness, right? We start at kindergarten or even preschool, we start phys ed. If you think about it, when did we learn about nutrition in school? So it's not your fault. If you feel like you suck at nutrition, it's not your fault. And a lot of the times when I do calls like these, people leave the call overwhelmed, like, oh, good for her. She knows so much about nutrition because she's a pharmacist. I'm like, I didn't learn crap about nutrition when I was I didn't learn anything in pharmacy school about nutrition. It has nothing to do with that. I just really worked hard on educating myself. And I went through the programs myself. So if you're a tubier, watch the videos, take notes, Google, like Google's your best friend. Ultimate Portion Fix, watch those videos, you know? So you don't suck at nutrition. And if you do, it's not your fault. I did see a question at one point, but I love your guys' honesty. I've been sucky with my nutrition and definitely don't share that much. Brian said, what? You mean the whole solution of fitness plus nutrition plus support? LOL. Yeah. So, you know, you guys probably have that like beaten into your brain, right? Amber, have you asked your coach for more help or plugged into your coach's community to ask? Yes, that's good advice. Yep. Britt said, I have 300 people in my group and I have like 40 check-ins. I need to tighten it up. Yeah, because people are just happy to be there. And they're just like taking all the freeness. They're like, oh, I get a free weekly meal plan every week. You got to like, I don't work for free. How many would you say you have in that 50 PV group? So 100 and something. Let me look for sure. I will say I do run it with some of my coaches. So that's something that a lot of people are like, make your baby birds fly away. Like I have a lot of my coaches, not a lot, I have a few, I should say, a few of my coaches, and we run the group together because it just more people, and more people means more energy, and more energy is great for everybody, myself included. So I like a big group. I like the family feel. I also do that because for me, I am very hands-on. My coaches will attest to this. And I love to see their people in my group because it's easy for some of my new coaches, it's harder for them to be like, oh, she's going to be a great coach. I see that. And I see it coming from like a mile away. So I love having their people in my group, even if it's just for a couple of months and then they eventually fly off to their own space. But I love to be like, hey, Kelly, did you notice so-and-so? Like she is checking in every day. She's loving on everybody else's post. She would be a killer coach. You should talk to her about that. And I also love that then when they come into my new coach mentorship, they know me and I know them. My group has participants. 149 for whoever asked that question. Amy, I think, asked that. Okay, so I think that's everything. I think the other chat is just everybody kind of sharing their things. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. I hope that this encourages you to to go out and share about more. Amber said, how do I skip my Shakeology so I can get other products? I was told a while ago before, but okay. So if you go to teambeachbody.com, memberships and subscriptions, and then you can change the date there. Amber, is that what you're asking? Am I understanding right? You can unmute if you want. But that will help you skip a month if that's what you're saying. And then in turn, you would get something else.
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to remember how to skip the month of Shakeology so I could get like Hydrate or Energize.
Yep. Yeah. So if you go to your memberships and subscriptions, and you can delay it. So you can change your ship date and you can push it out like 6 months if you wanted to, but you just change your ship date there and that will make it the new ship date.
Okay. Thank you.
You're so welcome. All right, guys, I'm going to hop off. My Instagram is at Kimberly3_Roberts. If you need to find me, you have questions, I'm always happy to help. And I'm also on Facebook. I hope you guys have a great night.